in a short 60 minutes or so of time, Team BDS may well have taken the top spot once again, returning up there to take the helm against Navi.
You say 60 minutes. Is that you believing this is going to basically go the distance and be that long a game?
Close game. Closer than you think.
All right. Well, Buck being banned away is a target ban against Shaiko, I believe, who, when attacking on the upstairs, likes to push him from small tower side, do some work on the floors below. Just don't want to be dealing with that one at all, despite Gorgona being quite a Buck player himself. The ace also being taken away. Your namesake, dare I say here, Ace.
Can't ban me out, Des. You can try, but you cannot ban me out. They've done it here.
From the game, but you can't do it from the cast.
I tell you what, that's some hard breach gone. There's going to be plenty of other options, though. Habana, Thermite, Maverick, there is plenty to go at now. So those hard breach bans, not quite as effective or impactful as maybe they once were.
Indeed, Clash taken away as that target ban as well, and Cavanaugh closing out with the smoke. Now, we have seen smoke bans a couple of times this season in more targets and situations, and in fact, I'm getting a real strange sense of deja vu, because I swear we've seen Buck and Smoke banned away against BDS on this map by another team previously. That smoke naturally coming in as a target ban towards Brede.
It's basically full disruption from Cavanaugh, isn't it? It's looking at what do BDS do, what do they do well, and how can we prevent them doing that? How can we make them take a step outside of their normal comfort zone? But the problem is that BDS's comfort zone, Des, is pretty large. And so you can take one element away from them, but there is still plenty more on the shelf for them to choose from. And so you've taken the Buck away from Shaiko. Oh dear. He's now on the Ash.
It's like saying to a man, okay, you imagine if you had a real weapon, here's the Ash coming out. Bit of a reference there to another game in case anyone caught that one. Either way, starting out on the downstairs in basement. Let's see how the boys of Cavanaugh shape up. Mirror going to start things out. 2 C4s on side, screaming towards some denial if we do see BDS going in for a take from the north. But Ace, we spoke about this previously. What we've seen quite a few teams opting to do lately is actually go for a push on both sides. And you might be saying, but Des, surely that means you're splitting your resources between north and south. And you know what? You're absolutely right. But when teams have got enough confidence, they can win their ones, or they can kind of do a little bit of fallback. If something goes wrong, for example, through Freezer, you know that someone in Laundry will be able to capitalize on that. Teams have been making it work, and defenses are being stretched quite thin.
Oh, I'm all about it. Attack from both sides, attack from all three sides. Let's, have the absolute maximum. Let's get in there and really make these defenders uncomfortable, make them spin around on the heels, not know where the next shot is coming from. And it's those one-dimensional attacks that we see usually having the most problems. Now, we are underway here in the BDS versus Cowana game on Oregon. Round 1 is underway, and Cowana will start off defending down in Laundry. BDS not messing about at all. You can see one has just hopped straight in through that double window. Grizzly's going to be forced back onto the freezer stairs. Progress being made quickly by Shaiko and Alems here, and that is a terrifying prospect with the Ashens of Fear and 2 of the most deadliest players inside of EU right now, all running at you.
Yeah, this is one of those games that I look at it on paper and think, well, who really contests some of the players that are on BDS? Who's going to be matching Shaiko in the fragging department, or stepping up to Alems or Renshiro, a player that we've constantly spoken about the glow up that he's had over the last 12 months or so. And you think about players like Sloth, who haven't strictly had the most impressive stage. You saw the numbers before the game. Shaiko was ahead in most of the categories that we were comparing them in. But if I know Sloth like anything, I know that when he's on his day, when he's hitting his shots, no one's going to be able to stop him. So it's going to be onto him, I think, a lot here as well to show us that he's coming to this game warmed up and ready.
You've got to consider the curves and the trends as well, though, Des. And when we look at the overall stats, Shaiko, extremely impressive. His kills have continued week after week. But when we look at the ratings, we see that at the minute, Sloth has been on an upward trend the last couple of games. He's been improving and improving, whereas Shaiko has had a gradual decline as the season has gone on when we look at that overall rating. And so, there's an argument there to say that they could be on sort of opposite paths here, heading in different directions. And it just depends if that continues or whether we see this game buck the trend or not. But coming into the final minute, we've had 2 very quiet minutes to begin us here. We've had no kills on either side. Electric hatch is open. Shaiko's having a look now just to see if there's any joy to be found at pillars. But as of yet, there is not. And we find ourselves at a little bit of a stalemate in round number 1.
Yeah, it's very, very slow in here. We're going to start getting what everyone calls the Shaiko spot opened up, I believe, from above by the Ace. might get shot off the earth if they're not careful, meaning we're going to see Gorgona able to still stay playing in the Shiko spot. And here we go. Sloth with the opening kill is a great start onto LMs. Those impacts now taken off the board. I'm looking at how much utilities actually left for BDS here. They've got pretty much everything on side except for the X-Kairos pellets. A second kill coming out. Red Shiro goes down. Shiko dead to a C4. There's 2 players left. One of them is BDS traded down a second later. This one, I think, is going to go very clearly the way of Cavanaugh race.
Big problem for BDS is that they did not recognize the danger of Gorgona. It's Grizzly up on the top floor now, but Gorgona was playing in attic for a lot of that round. He pops up from the bottom floor and gets himself a second to finish things off with the kill onto Rafal, but we saw him just dip down from attic. He just moved through that rotation, came down and got himself an absolute freebie in the mid-round, and it really did put BDS on the back foot and on a slippery slope, and Cavanaugh have taken round 1 there. Not only have they taken it very well, they've sent a message, Des. They have come out, and I picked up Cavanaugh in the predictions, and I don't like us to all be the same. There was a lot of love being shown for BDS there, so I want to come out and I want to say, actually, this is going to be a closer game than you think, and Cavanaugh have got all the tools needed to take the wheels off this BDS train right now.
I agree, and you look at the recent games coming out for Cavanaugh, a win against Virtus Pro, a win against Secret, a win against Empire, a win against Train Hard. Their last loss was on the 29th of March, almost a full month ago, against none other than G2. And prior to that, sure, they lost an RV, they beat Rogue, whatever you want to say. Their trend has been very, very good in recent games, and even had that 14-1 scoreline across the double fortnight against both Train Hard and Empire, I think it was. They were absolutely on fire. So let's see if they can kind of show us some of that form that we saw before and continue onwards. That was at least a great start to it. And one thing that I think you'll appreciate, Ace, something that from cats in the back in the UK, seeing all the way through Challenger League and seeing their journey, things started out where you were always relying on someone like Sloth or Gorgona to make things happen. But this season, with Kendry stepping in and pulling out the kind of performances that he had early on, we've seen Grizzly even doing incredible work on their own. This is now a very strong, multifaceted team that is only getting stronger and stronger as the weeks go by.
Oh, it's anybody and everybody right now. You never know where the damage is going to come from, and that is a big problem because you can't focus, you can't sort of section people off, you can't recognise, right, Gorgona's playing on the Valkyrie this round, or we know Sloth's going to be on the Jaeger, so find that Jaeger and send 2 or 3 after him, which, if you remember when Kanto came into G2 and went particularly big when he first ever started in the professional scene, that's basically what happened to G2 for a while. Teams just recognise where is Kanto playing, which operators is he going to take, and they just sectioned him off and sent 2 or 3 players after him to get him killed and out of the round. But you can't even really do that with Cavanaugh because, as you say, there's so many threats coming from so many places right now, and they have been seriously impressive here. And now, this is the time, Des, for them to take the next step. You've said that their losses have come against G2 and Navi. They've come against the other big top 4 teams, and that's what they need to change now. Cavanaugh need to show they can beat top teams, and they need to start here, they need to start now, and they need to take down BDS, because that will be a massive coup for them.
There's always mad worry, I think, when a team gets promoted that they're just not going to be able to perform and are going to stay near the bottom of the table. Kind of what we saw with Secret really through all of last year and continuing into this year as well. Same story with Train Hard. Cavanaugh definitely bucking that trend. To finish top 4 in your first stage would be incredible. But of course, to do that, we need to make sure they win, or at least get a point out of one of these games in the next couple of days to lock it in. Otherwise, they lose today, they lose tomorrow. They might find themselves going out the top 4. Another slow round, though. 1:40 in. No one going down just yet. Barely even a bullet fired. Only a couple to clear out. The odd drone that scatters its way through the top 4 halls of Oregon. You know, there's a push coming down attic or down highway, if you want to call it that. And look at the players that are all holding out towards Trophy. Cavanaugh are just waiting for the signal of where are they coming from, who's pushing what. And Arctic had no idea LM's is coming up so close behind that drone. Going to be an easy kill, I was about to say. Frostbat, buddy. But fortunately, it is cleared out.
Got to ask questions there. Renarkic just dropping out of ADS at a crucial moment, and as you say, you can never predict that there's going to be a player following that drone quite so closely in, but he didn't turn away from Attic. He wasn't moving. There was no real reason for him to leave himself at such a disadvantage in that challenge, and LM took absolutely full advantage of that, as BDS take full advantage of Cavanaugh there and just shut them down extremely quickly, just moving through them. Des absolutely destroying them there in round 2, and we've got a game on.
Very, very comfortable. It was quiet, like we said, for the longest time, but you kind of hit that 60-second mark and the action just explodes. BDS very convincing. So 1 round apiece. This is actually starting very scarily, like it did in the previous game, where both teams in the first 2 rounds have displayed really impressive first rounds. They're looking solid. They're showing the good coordination needed, but both equally showing the inability to adapt based on what happens in the mid-round. It kind of feels whoever gets the round started with the opening kill is the one that seems to then snowball it through to victory. I'm keen to see how that trend does get booked as we move forward. And definitely one way of starting to do that is going to be bringing along the Amaru here. BDS of all players stepping into the operator. What have BDS got planned?
I always love to see an Amaru on the lineup because it's just that level of unpredictability. Now, if you remember, we saw Amaru in the last play day, and P4 it was who brought her along on coastline, and it was a fascinating use because generally speaking, we see Amaru used to get somewhere quickly at the beginning of the round. We don't often see that being directly into sight, it's fair to say, because it can be a little bit of a death wish going in at this level to a site so directly like that. But it tends to be either on cafe to get to the roof quickly, somewhere here maybe to get into tier 3 of the big tower quite quickly. Interesting use from P4 was he got himself outside of the hooker window in the last 40 seconds of the round, waited for chaos to kick off inside of the site, and then zipped up and in through the window, and was completely unexpected and got himself a kill. He was shut down shortly after, but it was an interesting alternative use for that Amaru. Rather than using the Gara hook at the beginning of the round, use it at the end of the round when there's so many other distractions going on.
This is exactly it. And you speak about P4, of course, formerly of Tempera. Tempera were a team that big brained the living hell out of G2 on this map, baited them out towards the east side of the top floor, and at that exact moment, they pulled the trigger in through Kid's window with the Amaru and got the plant down and beat G2 like no one's business. In fact, I love this little adaptation from an R-kick. That was exactly where we saw, I can't remember which player it was, it might have been P4, zipping through the window with the Amaru and then go for the plant straight after. Here, they're almost bracing themselves in case that is part of the play coming out of BDS by putting down these frost mats. I think it's really well positioned. That could be massive later in the round.
Certainly could. Now we see the attic getting opened by Rafal. He's just going to get his little grenade hole on the left potentially. I think it'll just be another line above or below that that'll just give a little bit of a view through. There we go. So Anarchic needs to be careful playing in behind that deployable shield, and look at the gadgetry that is surrounding him, the importance that is being placed upon that attic by Cavanaugh. But Renshiro, he's the one to open things up, finding a kill onto Kendrew. Now the pressure starts to mount on Anarchic, and in come the flashbangs, the utility being burnt. There's a number of ADSs, there's Wamai Magnets, there's a Malusi Banshee, there is everything but the kitchen sink there, and he still gets forced out as the nade rains in, and BDS gain access to the attic. Anarchic forced back towards Games Room, and right now BDS are in full control of the north side of the map.
What are they going for here? Because I think with that hatch being opened up, which I think it was as I saw just a second ago, I'm thinking about BDS maybe coming in from below if they clear out the player that is sat inside of Kids. But just to comment on that for a second, yeah, almost, well, apart from the breaching rounds, every bit of utility BDS had just got slung down attic to make sure they could clear it out, which says to me they were dying for that control. They've got someone on Kids window. Sloth is coming out towards green though. If he gets underneath Renshiro, this could completely ruin the whole setup. Here he is at green window. Does he dare go for it? Is he more nervous? What's going on behind? BDS is below, and now it's revealed, Ace. We know what's going on. He's going to tell his team, damn, the Amaru's in kitchen. Watch out for that hatch.
That is such a big flank play coming in from BDS there, just preventing Sloth from having that impact on the roam. Now Cowana so close to seeing the man down inside of kitchen. He's just waiting for that zip, and here it comes. He hears it, and he gets the kill and drops the diffuser cold on the ground, doubles down as he gets Rafal as well, and it's all going in Cavanaugh's direction. All of a sudden, however, BDS are fighting. We find ourselves now effectively 1 versus 1. This is Gorgona versus Renshiro. Gorgona's on an absolute tear, and he finds the fourth Des. He does it. He shuts down the plant. He shuts down the round. It is all Gorgona.
Big Bulgarian pulls it out at the absolutely critical moment. And I will give a nod to Grizzly. Injured on the ground. Goes to show you've got to complete your kills, because he went crawling up towards Trophy, called out on the yellow ping that you saw come through a second later where there was a player. They turn it around from there. It's an easy pre-fire to come out from Gorgona. But for BDS, I imagine that's the first and last time you'll see an attempt at an execute like that. It was a good plan. They could see what they were going for, but Cavanaugh dug in deep. They put their heels in the sand and said, we're not getting barreled out of here. We're staying exactly where we are. And as soon as they tried to go for the execute, knowing there were still players inside of Kids, you saw the exact outcome. Great play by Cavanaugh, especially by Gorgona. Now we head downstairs for round number 4.
Sometimes those pocket strats can have a great bit of value, Des. As you know, just unexpected. You don't always know how they're going to turn out, but Cavanaugh read into that beautifully. That's the key there. They recognise the Amaru was on the cards. The hatch is open. They know exactly what is likely to come, and what a round from Gorgona. That is absolutely huge from the man. And these are the rounds that Cavanaugh are going to need, because BDS, if given the opportunity, Des, they'll get on top of you, they'll apply pressure, and they will bury you quickly. And Cavanaugh, they need to be able to find difficult rounds like this, and we've got a beautiful replay of it coming through here. Look at that. Gets one and then just doubles down. Sees Rafal come in through the window. He actually drops into the frost mat. Finishes him off there. And he just commands that area all around double window. He just absolutely commands it.
Oh, what a round. Today has been great. Back to back in every single game has just felt really exciting to watch. Even looking back to game 1, that feels like it was 10 minutes ago. That's how fast today has gone, and they love to say that time flies when you're having fun. Goes to suggest exactly how things have played out. And again, for our battle of tweets that we've had going on all day so far, we have BDS Power or Cavanaugh on Twitter. And for a while, I thought Cavanaugh were going to bring it back. They were at like 47% at one point, but BDS have taken back over once again and have always sat now throughout the entire day as the leaders in this battle.
Round number 4 then, and we will be heading back down to Laundry. This is the site that Cavanaugh managed to win back in round number 1. BDS are going to have to do things a little bit differently. They lost the opening man with Sloth getting a nice kill onto a lemon. They just never really felt like they were in proper control of the map, with Gorgona able to rotate through Attic and get a nice kill on the flank. And they just constantly kept BDS guessing. Now, Gorgona a little bit slow on the take there, allowing that drone to escape with its life. So information will continue to get fed in, and Alem is going to know that Gorgona is playing down in that Shaiko position. Meanwhile, the other 4 members of BDS, they are pushing in quick and hard towards the bunker here, and Anarchic, he's just going to flip things up. He's got his deployable shield ready to play there, but on the mirror, he's just going to apply one of those black mirrors to the wall there that will allow him to peek into bunker should this area be taken. It's an interesting strategy, this one, Des.
It is if they can make it work, mind you. I mean, the last round was an interesting strategy coming out from BDS, and, well, we all saw exactly how that happened when they didn't have the desired control that was necessary to pull things off. But I think here it's more the orchestration and the understanding of this is what we see BDS liking to do, coming in for the push from the north side like they tried last time round. Why not hunker down and make it incredibly hard to go for any kind of push from there? You are looking at drone plates and make it work out, I think, so you can get the control inside of Electric, for example, and actually let you walk inside the goddamn building. But at the minute, that is being pretty hard denied, even when no one is playing behind that, because of the Ela mines that are sat around this construction doorway. And as I say it, one blows up in Shaiko's face.
BDS still being held back out of bunker, but Shaiko looks to push in. Just takes a double back on that situation. I'm not sure that he's too happy about pushing onto an Arctic behind the mirror there. So it's pushing them into a more direct challenge onto pillars here, rather than being able to go and use the defender's rotate against them. Now, Sloth, he's going to keep himself locked in here for as long as he can. He looks to take the challenge. Oh, just misses his shots onto the Maverick there, but takes a little bit of chip damage from Rafal. And again, he's just holding them at bay. That's what's important here. He's holding them at bay while Grizzly and Gorgona go in and get a double Sloth. He gets his man. Finally manages to find the kill onto Rafal. Renshiro tries to do something to stem the tide, but can't, as Kendrew comes in with a double kill. And right now, once again, we are seeing everybody on the side of Cavanaugh functioning and just working so fantastically as a team that it is tough for BDS right now.
It's like watching a couple of apex predators just stalking each other and waiting for the exact moment to pounce. The rounds have been really kind of composed and quiet, bar a couple of utilities being thrown up and down at highway, for example. But outside of that, it's always come down to the final 60 seconds or so, and then it just explodes. BDS hit the go button. Cavanaugh, they bite back with real ferocity, as they have now done in 3 of these 4 rounds. I'll wait for the second half to begin to see how things shape up for BDS on the defense, because if Cavanaugh come in prepared for their attacks, this could be over pretty fast. But Cavanaugh now are no doubt thinking about that 5 rounds they want to get on the defensive side to keep themselves well ahead of the French side coming into that second half.
I think that's important for them right now, is they have got the run of BDS right now. No matter what BDS are trying, Cavanaugh seem to have the answer at the minute. They are winning the gunfights, and that, let me tell you, is not an easy thing to do against BDS. You're going up against particularly Alem and Shaiko, who have got 2 of the highest kill rates inside of the EUL League. So you can't just expect to come in and win gunfights against them. So the fact that Cavanaugh are winning them out, that Pillars moment is a great example there. Some absolutely fantastic fights won, particularly Sloth going through on the long range kill, finding the Maverick of Rafal and just shutting down that bunker push completely. Whilst this is happening for Cavanaugh, they need to double down, Des. They need to just squeeze every drop of advantage out of this that they can. And if that is 4-2, if that is 5-1, that needs to be the aim right now. 3-3 is not acceptable for Cavanaugh after the way this game has started.
They'd see that as a massive throwaway if it did descend towards that later level of play. But in the last round, you probably noticed there weren't too many drones whizzing around on the downstairs. It was good control coming out from Cavanaugh. They only had the Mozzie on side then, but here they've doubled down. It's the Mew and the Mozzie stepping out. Of course, Jaeger being as present as he always is. Noble Mido were leaning in towards Kendrew on that Echo. And we spoke about this before when you think about, I think in fact it was at SI we spoke about this last year. When you think about players from each region, the kind of go-to Monty gods, I'm always thinking about Echo players now, given we're starting to see him creep back in. And I always think about Kendrew.
Cowana shutting down Shaiko to open up round 5. There was some big damage done to him. I'm not sure exactly what went on. I think it might have been an impact nade. Potentially, it did look like explosive damage just because of how quickly, I think it was about 60 HP dropped off his bar. But then he was finished off with the shotgun. So that leaves us now 8-1 for Gorgona. He's going absolutely crazy right now. There is no stopping him whatsoever. But 4 versus 5, half of the round to go. And Arkic surely finds himself one, but no. Renshiro manages to dip away with a fraction of life left, and Arkic takes some damage. He's going to potentially open up that hatch to offer a rotation out of there. There we go. That's Gorgona, I think, just pinging that out and asking for it to be cleared. Then the option is there to drop underneath and move back up rear stage, where the entire push from BDS is coming right now.
I like how they've adapted at least and moved over to be able to contend this. A couple of players in what I call no man's land. Meeting itself is really hard to play in unless you're holding really tight to a corner, or lying down just in front of the stage can also be a viable spot. With it being opened up though, it has become very, very dangerous to play in here. So Gorgona immediately, you see the man on the stairs, doesn't quite hit the shot though. None of them hit to each other anyway. Back his way upstairs, and they're kind of passing each other like ships in the night here, Tim. I thought surely someone was going to go away from this one in a coffin.
Gorgona's got himself into a tough spot being spotted out by Alem there. It just means he has to fight his way out, and he can't as Alem gets his man, shuts down Gorgona and finds the headshot. But there is 30 seconds left here. There is an inordinate amount of time from BDS being wasted. Rafal and Brede, however, just bursting into sight and finding kills. It is all down to Grizzly and Kendrew. This is not going to be an easy task as Brede gets that diffuser down. Can he be successful? The Yokai drone will deny it twice, but how much longer can they do this? Up pops the second Yokai, and there's the kill. Grizzly, in comes the man to pick up the diffuser. Rafal tries to get it down. This is all a war between Echo and the final man, and there it is. What a round from Cavanaugh, but no, Des! He manages to get it back on the ground with a fraction of a second, and Kendrew, he loses his life. What are we seeing here?
How are those Yokai stayed alive for that long is the big question I've got to ask. Oh my word. I think Kendrew exhausts all 4 blasts. The one that was initially inside a meeting runs out. He brings the one up through electric, and some bloody hell manages to keep it alive enough to get both blasts off. He almost stalled about 25 seconds there. I think BDS were just terrified that he would come pushing up after a blast, for example, and dome them out. So wanted to be in a spot where they could contest with their guns rather than worrying about the Yokais. My God, it's down to fractions of milliseconds at this point, Tim. That's what you want to see between 2 of EU's greatest.
It really is. You won't see anything like that too often. It was perfectly played almost. And that is the key word. It must have been only a fraction of a second from the Yokai drone being perfectly timed. As it was, the stun went in, and BDS were able to get back on that diffuser with milliseconds remaining on the clock to keep it ticking and there was no charge left in the yokai. Kendrew had to move forward and make a challenge, and that is absolutely heartbreaking. We've got the replay coming in and we've got the stun of the yokai, so he just waits. The diffuser's going down. We can see the clock ticking by. There is fractions of a second for the diffuser going down, and there is the stun, but just too soon, Des. We saw there was 1 second left on the timer. 1 second left, and it just allowed a half a second for Rafal to jump back on that diffuser plant. Now, I've got to give a shout out to Rafal there, Des. Presence of mind to just keep yourself alert and to hammer F again to start getting that diffuser down quickly enough. That's great reflexes.
Absolutely. Again, a game of fine margins sometimes, and that's exactly what the round turned into. Hey, it gives them the back though. We're not going to see Cavanaugh steamrolling their way through the first half. And if it ends at 3-3, you already have to start asking the question about OT. It feels like one of those games that deserve it. I looked at kind of the roster of games today and thought, G2 against Rogue, that's going to be a screamer. And it was, but the kind of sleeper screamer in a way was this game. I think everyone looks at it and, like you said, kind of say, oh, BDS take it. And I still think they probably could in the end. But we all knew from given what Cavanaugh have achieved, again, this massive win streak they're currently on, a very impressive first stage, that it would come into something great. It's already shaping up to be one of my favorite of the stage.
More and more utility being applied on the attic here from Cavanaugh. We saw last time how many ADSs, how many Wamai Magnets, Banshee, everything was in there to try and prevent this access from BDS. This time they've doubled down and they've got the Aruni laser gate on there as well, and just preventing them moving freely through that Maverick hole. The frost mat is there now. Keep an eye on that frost mat, because when attackers come to drop down that ledge, they're going to be in the ADS, because they could be challenged from single door, they could be challenged from Kid Storm's rotation. So the chances are they'll be in their scope, and that is almost how it is every single time we see those frost mats successful in snapping shut on an attacker leg.
Laser what? Sorry, Ace? The Aruni laser...
It's the Surya gate, Des.
I mean, the gate's enough for me to be happy, to be fair. The laser gates, as we always say, never gonna die. Love hearing it every single time. 60 seconds remain though, and once again, the Apex Predators, like I described them earlier, stalking each other out, feeling out what's going on here. And Gorgona took a little bit of a cut, and nothing to put him out of action just yet. But as we hit towards 50 seconds, you start thinking, when is this round going to explode? When is New Year going to hit? When are the fireworks going to fly? And with knowing how these two teams have shaped up so far, it's going to be soon. BDS aren't a team that like to leave things until the dying 10 seconds, because they know, unlike other teams like Empire, that if you leave it that late, the smallest of mistake can cost you the round. And here we go. That's the opening kill they want, and now they should spring into action. The frag comes out. It connects onto Kendrew. He's removed from a very critical spot. They can be thinking about a plant here, but the problem is you've got Gorgona close. The flank from Grizzly up White. They've lost control of White, and that is such a critical power position. 15 seconds, and for BDS, this is going to be a very uncharacteristic late start. Grizzly knows someone's the bottom of White, going to get himself in the spot they want for the plant, and puts him in the dirt. They found the kills they need, but BDS are bringing it back. Oh my god, he's managed to clutch from behind the bed, but the clock was already hitting 0. And guess what? Even a Frostmat got to star in this round, Ace.
Not just the Frostmat, Des. The Frostmat, as I said, coming down that ledge, exactly as I called it. Rafal in his ADS, drops down there with the matter of seconds left to go, and bang, that is it. Frostmats win rounds if placed carefully, thoughtfully, and if just they're alive at the right time, they can be an absolute nightmare. And since we've seen the switch up in Frost's potential loadouts, and we've seen it getting brought along more, they have been getting their fair share of kills and big moments. And it's easy to look at it and say, surely at this level, the players should be. But it's not the case. You've got to remember, if anything, that makes it more difficult. As I said, Rafal has to be super careful coming down there, because there's so many angles he can be challenged from. And gunfights at this level often last less than a second. We saw it in the opening round, as an Arkic dropped out of his ADS for a matter of a second and a half, and he finds himself dead. And that is why you can't do it. So these players are walking along, scoped in, and they can't see the Frostmats because of the limited view on their screen. And that's just... this game is unbelievable.
I really want to say I am correct. Yes, I remember this one. BDS, when they had the smoke band away against them last time, brought along the Shanka. And we had a good discussion at the time around saying, hey, look, it's not exactly the same. He's getting a pretty significant buff at the minute on the test round, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what that delivers in future. But a couple of teams have tried to make use of him once or twice so far this season. They have played it once. They've lost with it. It was limited impact, I want to say, but another team did employ it previously. I want to say it was Virtus Pro, but maybe I'm wrong. Employed it in the basement of Clubhouse and found a nice 2K with it, not through fire, but instead through that gun.
This is a really big round here in round 7. Cavanaugh coming in with a 4-2 advantage from their defensive phase, but now move on to the attack. If they lock this one down, they are 5-2 up and only 2 rounds away from taking this and the 3 points away from BDS. Na'Vi, I'm sure, will be sat watching this and they will have bated breath right now because they took the top spot by 1 point. 20.19 Na'Vi lead the EUL at the moment. If Cavanaugh can come out with a win here, it puts it all into Na'Vi's hands. At that point, a win against G2 will secure them the top spot overall. So they want a Cavanaugh win as much as anybody else right now.
I love how tight it gets at the end of the season when it starts coming down to small point differences. Even round differences can really start to have an impact. When you look at the head-to-heads and maybe things haven't gone exactly as planned, you just never know, especially when the kind of mini leagues, as we call them, get involved, when you have like strange 3-way ties. I think Rogue are technically part of one of those at the moment, so those things do start to have an impact, and you start thinking, remember that one round they lost back then? Imagine if it had gone this way instead. Small differences can really start to weigh in, but on this round now, we've seen the hard breach being brought along by Gorgona being used on the meeting hatch. Don't really see it all that often. Hasn't become like super meta like a lot of people were worried that it would be, but it does have its niche use cases just like this one.
It's worth remembering at this stage as well that even overtime is enough here for Cavanaugh to secure themselves one of those top 4 spots. So that's a guaranteed additional 50 SI points from 5th place, and it's also that increase in prize money as well. So literally even just getting themselves to overtime and losing would be enough, but right now that certainly doesn't seem to be a word that's in their vocabulary. They're having none of losing. Sloth gets himself an opener. Shiko from Shiko spot will find the trade back out. 4 versus 4, and Cavanaugh need to find an answer to this. We can see the Gemini drone going in. Gorgona just looking to challenge at range on the Cavanaugh there, sorry, on the Capitao there, and with 35 seconds left to go. Kills keep raining in for Cavanaugh, Des. Can they actually do this? They could be 5-2 up here. Kendrew finds the 3rd. He's gone massive from the rear stage stairs. It's all down to the Chanka and shut down by Kendrew with a quad on the round. Cavanaugh, they are flying, Des. They are unstoppable. They are unbeatable. And right now, they are a force to be reckoned with.
It's sure shaping up that way. Kendrew with a 4K. A nade kill, I believe, onto the player playing on the other side of Pillar. Shiko pushes up the stairs to challenge. Kendrew hits the deck, wins the second, pushes down Highway, and collects the kill down there because all that security blanket that the Highway player had was removed as soon as those 2 to the north were gone. Massive play by Kendrew. Great awareness and expectation of what was coming and dealt with it expertly to guarantee the round to the side of Cavanaugh. We spoke about this a little bit earlier on as well, about the changes that came through for the team around. It's no longer just the Sloth and the Gorgona show, that now you've got 4, even sometimes 5 members able to step up and make a massive difference. That's what you want to see.
This for me is a really interesting situation to see play out as well from BDS, because top teams they are made not just from players and teams who can go in there and whitewash others and win every gunfight. The real champions, they are made from teams who are resilient, who can fight back. How many times did we see it from the famous Penta and G2 roster that they had to fight adversity and come back from behind in games? And we need teams to show us that ability because it is so necessary in the big tournaments. And right now, that is the position BDS find themselves in. They are on the back foot here. They are 2-5 down and quite frankly getting run over by Cavanaugh at this moment in time. They need to show us that they can dig their heels in, that they can find that energy, that they can find that turnaround, and that they can fight back.
Let's see how it steps up then. No to Chank this time round. You'll be very pleased to know Ace, but Brede, of course, is going to lean over towards playing with a trusty SMG regardless, this time on the mute. This is what we saw out of him last time round when Smoke was banned permanently against him. What did he do? Brought out the mute. Likes that SMG far too much, can still do good damage with a C4 in this case. You just, of course, lose that delay ability that would normally come from bringing along the smoke. I'm wondering how long our peace period is going to be in this round, because like we've said earlier on, it's about 2 minutes of these two kind of stalking each other and feeling out what's going on, and then finally someone goes for the strike. It's like someone fires a pistol and the race begins. That's exactly how all of these rounds are playing out.
It really is. It's all the cars just sat at the starting line, revving their engines, isn't it? Just waiting for that green light. And usually it's come at about the 2 to 2.5 minutes mark. And right now that is ringing true as we are a minute into this round. Cavanaugh have got themselves mid-floor control. We can see BDS. They've been forced back to site now. They're all locked in down there for the turtle for the remainder of the time that is left to us in round 8. Grizzly's going to send down the decoy drone there. It will be taken out by Shaiko as he moves himself into his spot. I don't think you really need to drone out that spot, Des, do you? You know exactly who's going to be playing there. You know exactly what he's going to be doing. The difficulty is, how do you stop him from doing it?
Shaiko a little bit distracted down there. Not quite sure what he was passing back and forth, but I think now he's back and focused on what's going on. Very confident no one's going to come pushing down the stairs, so God bless in that case that no one did. He's being joined once again by the Wamaya Rafale holding up on pillar side. It's always those two on the north. They then have a highway player, one inside of sight, and Brede is kind of, I think, left to float a little bit if he wants to here. In fact, Ranshiro contesting inside of Freezer. So this is a predictable setup from BDS, and I think for Cavanaugh, you analyze this a little bit and get a feeling of what's going on. You can then adapt and react, which is what it feels like they're starting to do here, because this time around, it's not Kendry pushing in, it's Sloth instead on the Ash.
Sloth just waiting for his moment there, lead prone, just seeing if there's an opportunity, if anybody chooses to come up and check that mezzanine level, but I don't think BDS are going to be face checking the stairs at this point in time. Grizzly opens things up with a great nade onto Elemno, and that is advantage Cavanaugh once again, and here they go, Gorgona looking to push in, get shut down in the laundry. Brede taking out the dirty washing there, and Gorgona goes with it. Kendrew finds one and kills just rain in on both sides. Ultimately, we find ourselves in a 1 versus 2 for Sloth. He's got Brede and Ranshiro left. If anybody on the side of Cavanaugh can do it, we know that Sloth has the ability. 5 kills to his name today. He's going well. He needs to find either of these. He needs to find them quickly because he's got about 10 seconds left to go. Shut down on the crossfire from Brede as he finds himself in the breach and in the clear as he manages to shut down the Ash and close out the round for BDS. And boy, did they need to slow down that Cavanaugh momentum. That brings us to 3-5 on the scoreboard. Cavanaugh still looking to get their first attacking round backed up with a second.
You can see the impact of a Valkyrie and why so many teams ban it away there as well. The one that was watching inside a laundry, one man pushes through, instantly swung on and dies. Anarkit does the same. Player and utility lets him walk forward, even through fire for a split second, that puts him in the dirt as well. Diffuser's cold on the ground. Kills have got to be picked up on the north side for them to close out that round, similar to what Kendry did previously. But just playing behind that utility, Cavanaugh had no idea the camera was there. And it's a great example of why being able to make those call-outs from beyond the grave, for example, can be so critical to winning a round. Because Cavanaugh probably sat there then and thought, how the bloody hell do they win those fights? How do they know that we're there? They'll watch this back, they'll see those cams and go, right, potential ban against BDS next time, Valkyrie.
Valkyrie so powerful, as we know. We've seen a very high ban rate for her in EUL this time around, and it's absolutely no surprise because, as you say, that information can be vital, especially with the sort of indirect buff of the Z ping as well, because you're not even always aware that the information is being fed back into the other defenders now, because you can just have that pinpoint accuracy with the yellow ping. So we're going to be heading in round 9 up to the top floor. This is going to be dorms. It will be the first time that we see BDS defend anywhere other than laundry. They've gone 1 for 1 down there as they manage a 50-50 record across the 2 rounds that they defended. They need to start getting themselves some rounds now, because one more for Cavanaugh will guarantee overtime at the absolute best case scenario then for BDS. And if anything, it might just raise the spirits of Cavanaugh even further, because they're going to be well aware, Des, that an overtime guarantees them a top 4 finish, and that's massive for a team like Cavanaugh coming in here from the Challenger League, getting their big opportunity, and in the first stage, they're going to take a top 4 finish. That's massive, and I'm sure it could be a big mental boost inside the game as well if they guarantee that.
Let's see how the setup comes in from Cavanaugh. It looks like the answer is going to be 2 pushing in from Attic. You've got Sloth taking control of Master here, so not thinking about Trophy. Gorgona's out here as well. So very much going to be this east side push coming out of Cavanaugh. So normally the focus here is on getting the game wall opened up, pressuring in from Trophy at the same time. And ideally, if someone can come down from Attic to stop the players that are playing in the south side of Attic, or Pig as it's sometimes known, that's where the focus should be. It's going to be Kendry stepping down here. Drone's coming out first. Has those frags in the back pocket to make good use of. And let's not forget we had the Iana lurking around earlier as well with the potential to contribute even more frags in. Before you know it, there's 4 explosive grenades singing in down towards Pig. And any player who's there, best play, they're covered by those ADSs from Shaiko.
A lot of drones being utilised inside of Attic there to try and find exactly what the setup is. There's a Banshee halfway along. In goes another drone. Down goes another drone. As Shaiko, he will just take them out all day long. The ADSs, they'll be burnt. In comes the nade, but Shaiko able to just dip away and still live to fight another day. He's looking to make the long challenge down that line. And Cavanaugh, you better be ready for this. They're looking to get themselves in, but right now they're just being stalled out by Shaiko. They don't quite have an answer to this position at the moment. There goes a third drone. There goes a fourth effectively with the Gemini being taken down. There's a fifth. It's all about the information of Attic, Des, but what are they learning for these drones? What information are they really gaining other than knowing that Shaiko is still there? Is he still there? Yeah. Still there? Yeah.
Information only lasts 2 or 3 seconds, but you need to act off the back of it, and they've tried with grenades. I swear to God, he's killed 6 drones this round by himself. Cavanaugh have got 2 drones left now. What are you going to do next, boys? You've got to go pushing in blind if you want to be able to challenge him. And yes, he's backed away. LM's got the downstairs. They're so focused on what's going on in Pig, they have no idea where the other players are. 2 kills come singing out. Gorgona strikes back, but we've got 30 seconds on the clock to make anything happen here. Smokes and fires should be able to come singing on through. There's a player inside of White, and Arkic is in, but has got to tuck himself in that corner, loses the cover, might be able to get away with the plant potentially, and Arkic bringing one back. 3 versus 2. Now or never though, boys. 12 seconds remain. A C4 from below. This round is done. Dare I say, Ace, this is a golden example of what overcommittal to an individual part of the map can do.
Absolutely. We just countered the droning utility. I won't necessarily say drones because one of them was a Gemini, but the droning utility that's been... I don't want to go in too strong and say wasted on Attic. As you say, they need that information if they're trying to push in through there. But what you have to remember is that the opener came from an LM's flank. And if 6 drones have been thrown away on Attic, Des, you got to ask the question, could one of those have been watching that flank? Could one of those have been finding where is LMs? Where is he playing? Is there a man underneath us? What's going on? Instead, so much of it has been thrown into that singular location, but not just thrown in, just thrown to its death because they know that Shaiko's watching the angle. Pop 1, pop 2, pop 3, all from the same angle.
And no real movement, because after the first 3 drone deaths, they just sat in a spot where it was like, okay, we're going to send the decoy down there now. And the Gemini ran down, died as well. Another drone pushed in from behind, died as well. I don't know if they were kind of hoping that he would just run when enough drones were shown, because often for some players, you get spotted by a drone, you think, right, they know where I am, I now need to move away. But Shaiko plants his feet, digs in and goes, I don't need to move because you guys aren't pressing me. In fact, after your 3 frags have come out and destroyed my ADSs and my shield, I'm still going to swing on you in case you're pushing down highway and hope to take an unfair firefight here where I get the advantage and you're completely exposed, whereas I've got lower body covering away. Nothing really happens. Great, confidence from Shaiko, I guess, and from Cavanaugh. A little bit more action needed, I think, once you've got that information in hand.
The other thing to remember, Des, is you've got to think about who you're playing against. They know it's the Jaeger at that point. So, as you say, yep, there's the potential there that they're thinking, look, if we get enough drones in there, maybe he dips away because he knows the push is coming any second. But is Shaiko a player that's likely to dip away from a fight? Because I don't think so. He's going to think I might be able to get 2 or 3 here. You've got to remember he's an aggressive player. He's happy to go in and take those gunfights. If he thinks there's 2 or 3 people pushing from Attic, he just thinks that's 2 or 3 potential kills. I'm going to have a look at it. I'm not dipping into kids just yet because I don't want to be losing that fight, losing that opportunity. I'm going nowhere near kids' dorms. I'm staying where I am, and that's exactly what happened. And like I said, if other things hadn't gone against them, if they hadn't been in a situation where a LEMS manages to flank, where damage has been done from underneath, then I don't know, maybe you look at that differently. It just seems like a lot to throw into that one space. for not really much information. The first 2 drones told you the exact same as number 3 to 6. You know, that's the reality there. And so, but anyway, moving on to round 10. Hopefully the drone utility is going to be used a bit more effectively, a bit more efficiently from Cavanaugh this time around. They're making quick progress inside. Sloth's going to open up that games room wall. He's just looking to get some top floor control. Now, there are a couple of defenders up there with him. Just trying to keep hold of that vertical control above Kitchen and Sloth. He's going to be looking to try and open things up. Now, we've got one that's dipped away into Attic. It looks like the Kaid of Renshiro, if my silhouettes are up to date, and it is. And Sloth finds him and shuts him down. Can he get a second? No. Elems, he manages to get the man with the Malusi, but will be downed in the process. And that's going to allow Cavanaugh to come in there and mop things up and get themselves up to a 4-3 advantage. Elems, he's crawling quickly. He wants to get down this hatch, and he does it. That might just save his life, Des. He might be picked up by Rafal here. It's in fact Shaiko who goes.
Yeah, Shaiko or Brede, one of the 2 who were close by would have been able to get him up there, but he is back on his feet and goes to show if those drones were kind of in tow as he went down and checking out the right room, because one swung into Highway instead of going into Kids. Maybe that him and a grenade could have followed through. Speaking of grenades, Grizzly goes, well, this one was meant to be for Lems, but in this round, I guess with how things have developed, it can now be for you, Brede. 4 versus 3. Then Cavanaugh have got the numbers advantage, but Shaiko does Shaiko things as they come swinging into meeting. 2 dead, and suddenly things are balanced back out into a 3 versus 3. 70 seconds to play.
A lot of the Cavanaugh pressure and push is coming towards the Kitchen side here, and I think BDS have just recognised that, or maybe not 100% sure as Shaiko. He's still paying a lot of attention towards that rear stage, but given the fact that Cavanaugh have put so much resource into taking that top floor control, it suggests they're going to try for a kitchen plant, because that is usually where you could deny from. If you had the vertical angles opened up and held, you could do that. There is the option from upstairs to get yourself into Attic to deny a rear stage plant, but Cavanaugh certainly be focusing towards that direction at the moment, and Kitchen does look like their choice. Now, Rafal, he moves himself upstairs. Kendrew is sort of right in what he's thinking here. He comes along. No, Rafal's still inside of Garage, actually, I think, or is he? No, that's the top. That's the attic wall. It was just unclear whether it was the wall heading through into meeting. But no, he's got himself back upstairs. Now, you need to be careful here because you've got Grizzly upstairs holding down the vertical angle to cover an Arctic, getting the diffuser down. He will be successful. Ooh. Just shut down on the Nitro. And that leaves us now with Grizzly one-on-one against Ilem. Now, Grizzly, he's upstairs. He's got the high ground. Ilem's going to have to head up there. And Grizzly knows it. He holds his angle here from the breach. He sees the man. Surely, no, he misses his shots, Des. He misses his shots. And this is Ilem's opportunity. He knows where the man is. He comes in, but no, Grizzly, alive, alert to the danger and gets the man on the second bite of the cherry. He closes it out, and that is guaranteed overtime for Cavanaugh right now. And more importantly, guaranteed fourth place.
As soon as I saw him drop his gun and start sprinting, I was like, no, not right now. This. Not as he's rounding the corner. Yeah, exactly. As a tear rolls down my trick cheek like out of the Matrix, I fall to the ground in absolute tears. I thought it was all going to come crashing down then. And I was going to say the round now spins on the dime of whether or not he's sprinting through or here or not. And which round this round goes. We'd either be at 5-5 or 6-4. We're at 6-4. This is where it gets tight. Cavanaugh, dare I say it, Tim, and I know you're going to absolutely love being right on this one, might just be about to beat BDS. And for a little bit of UK massive pride, the only teams to have beaten BDS in recent history will have been two UK teams. How about that?
How about that indeed? And coming into it, as I said, I just fancied the momentum that Cavanaugh have got right now. It's not just about the momentum. I've spent my entire life watching sports and watching and working in esports, and there's just something about Cavanaugh right now. It's, you know, it's like these teams that come out and just completely by surprise win a division. You know, we've seen it in British football recently. We've seen it all over the world, and there's just, there's not a name for it. There's just some magic happens within the team where they start playing together as a team, and you can see that they're having fun, that they're interacting well with each other, that the sum is greater than its parts, and that's how Cavanaugh feel right now. And I just feel like they've got some huge results in them.
They've got some huge plays in them as well. It's not quite a blitz, mate. So there's no Nino or train sounds come screaming out
I wish
today,
there was.
but There is Blitz's much slower cousin in the Monty being brought along here. So I'm looking at this and thinking, what's going to be the game plan for Cavanaugh? They were a team that would play Clash so often and from time to time could be seen using the Monty. Definitely not one of their go-to setups, though. So I'm really keen and really curious to see what the game plan is going to be, because right now, Gorgona is sat all by himself up towards the northeast of the map. Everyone else is pushing in from the south, so towards Laundry and Utility, or is out towards Small Tower.
Right now, they just feel to me, Des, like they're like a surfer, and they're riding the wave of their own confidence right now. They're coming in here at pace. We've got Sloth already pushing down the Visa stairs. We're inside of a minute. BDS have been forced back. They're now just complete turtle. There is no roam. There is no flank available for them here, and the pressure is going to start mounting in sight very, very quickly as the electric hatch gets opened, and Cavanaugh are just on... They're on a rampage at the minute, Des. They just feel like they cannot and will not be stopped.
I think BDS are one of the more conservative teams that we've got in EUL when it comes to defenses. Like, I think of a number of cases, like, for example, Clubhouse. They will never play a roaming setup on the downstairs. They're not like a lot of other teams who will run a variant of the SSG roam with the Mute, the Mozzie, the Vigil, the Castle, things like that. More often than not, you are going to find them sat on site and looking to play a very Turtle-esque setup. That's what we're seeing coming through here, likely due to the fact that it is basically guaranteed that these hatches are going to get opened up. That does give other teams time to get themselves set up and positioned, but while they're always trying to find a kind of answer, a vulnerability in the defense almost, that's when you see the clock start running low. And right now, there is no vulnerability. Shaiko and Breed are both going incredibly aggressive onto the construction door. They must know by now the Monty's coming. Someone must have heard it stepping up towards them. Cavanaugh needs to make good use of it. Oh, Anarchic almost loses his head, but gets behind that Monty shield in the nick of time.
The screen just slides in front of the Hibana in time, and we get a direct trade. That's not the end of the world for BDS, because that is Shaiko cleared out of his spot. Rafal, he dips deeper and deeper back in towards that freezer corridor. He looks to push forward back to pillars, but the men are coming in now. The snare is tightening and he has to dip himself away. He gets himself back into sight. Can he find another? No. Once again, millimeters, Des. Absolute millimeters could cost BDS the round here. That is the second time that they have missed a kill by absolute fractions. Rafal holds a tight angle, shut down by Kendra, who knows he's there. It's going to Cavanaugh, Des. It's happening. 4 versus 2 right now. They will not be stopped. Grizzly, he's getting the diffuser down. Out comes the Nitro. Grizzly, quick game sense, gets off the plant and dips away, keeps himself alive. In comes the challenge. That's great from Breedy. Can he do it? He finds himself a double, shuts it down. A triple for the round, Des. BDS, they keep fighting.
They call it Breed AS sometimes, but my God, this is why you want solid support players in your backline when all the chips are down, when everything looks lost, and you want to start looking at clutch potential. Look no further than players like Breed A. Shotgun Hero comes out in the dying second, makes the daring play of stepping into no man's land, the middle of supply, sees a guy coming through the single wall to his left, but is looking the wrong way. So instead just steps around, goes for the guy for the plant, flick backs the guy in the single wall. It was beautiful, and all that after challenging a Monty directly. This is what EUL, this is what Siege is all about. Rounds and games like this. BDS, if they get this round, we go to overtime. Woo! Bring it to me. It deserves overtime, Ace. It's the only way I can say it's a great way to round out Play Day 8.
I don't want it to end, Des.
No.
I honestly just do not want this game to end.
Give me 30 rounds of it, please.
Honestly, I really don't. And I say these things, and you know, there's no real proof of it, but my hands are trembling right now. I am so excited by this game. This is ridiculous. And if it goes into overtime, we're just going to turn it up to 11. It's just going to keep going, Des. It's going to get bigger and bigger as this. Look at this from Breedy. Absolutely beautiful to take the head off Gorgona. How does the... I've got to ask the question, Des. You've got to ask the question there. He shouldn't get away with that double. He shouldn't.
No. Kenny should be putting him in the dirt long before he can even look towards the guy going for the defuse. And what amazed me most was, I think Breedy saw in a spot where the guy was, while Kendra was running towards electric, and thought, right, I've got a fraction of a second here to turn and kill the guy, or at least put him down. The guy is going for the defuse, and sure he does. And it's one of those small moments that Kendra will look back on and go, I probably could have played that one a little bit better. I don't know if he expected to get the kill and have enough to be able to rotate into electric, or just wanted to get out of range of that shotgun blast in the face. I'm not sure, but it's huge from BDS. Let's see how round number 12 plays out then, Tim. Does it end here in regulation time at the end of 12 rounds, or is overtime calling our name?
Once again, rapid progress from Cavanaugh here. 30 seconds or just slightly more into the round, and already pressuring on to the balcony and into Master. They will avoid any damage from the explosives. An Arctic might have taken a tickle there, but it's only a couple of HP. Certainly not going to impact on the direction or trajectory of this round. Sloth getting aggressive. He's absolutely flying at the minute, and no wonder to see him going in and taking on those gunfights. Need to be careful though. He's going to be challenged. He does manage to put shots onto Elems. He was a little bit focused on the mute jammer, and the concern there was that he might just lose his life for it, but no, he's going to be able to open up that master wall. That allows the rotation through for Gorgona much more safely. The reason that they do that is they don't want to be moving in through that armory door, because of course there is a door directly opposite it, as you can see there at the top of your screen, and that can be a nasty challenge. As the drones just come in there, the players certainly don't want to, because there can be a line of sight through onto them. So instead they open the rotation and Gorgona can move in safely. Now here comes the utility burning. Anarchic's in there, and the reason that they've done that is Anarchic is now going to open that attic wall from master bedroom. So what it's going to do is force Shaiko back into Kid's dorms, which we can see is exactly what has happened there.
Yep, so the little Habana trick coming out onto the game wall as well to make it soft, then gets blown out by Sloth, and with the, well, as you can see, the fire being burnt out now through Trophy, it's going to run that clock down ever so slightly, but Anarchic is in position. He wants to get himself into that northwest corner of game, right above the foosball table, and get the plant down. But to do that, they've got to worry about Renshiro, which means someone's got to come up. Oh, no, you're joking. Not like this, BDS, not like this. Okay, 5 versus 4, round's not over, 40 seconds to go, and it started out with a little bit of attrition, you might say. However, it's traded back. Grizzly goes down. 4 versus 4, and we need to start seeing that push coming in from Cavanaugh. We know the spot's there, but he peeks, and Shaiko is just goddamn better. Brings down Sloth. 4 versus 3. Oh my god, he swings onto Anarchic on the game wall. Down he goes, swings onto Attic. Why is this from Shaiko? 4 kills in the round. Doesn't need to make it the aces. BDS steps up, but that is 2 huge rounds. The first one from BDS, the second from Shaiko to send it into overtime.
You can see the sheer relief on the face of Rafal there, as it's once again Super Shaiko to the rescue as he steps in with a quad kill after BDS put themselves on the back foot. I don't know what happened downstairs. It's one that I'm sure BDS will want to just move on from. Rafal and Elems seem to be on some sort of roam underneath together. Obviously, Elems had the nitro and was there downstairs, so the potential plant denial, but for some reason they seem to come together. It didn't seem like there was a challenge on them coming in from Cavanaugh. It was difficult to see because it would have been off our screen, so it's certainly one to have a look back on at a point where we can do. But Rafal maybe was aiming for a drone. Maybe it was, Elems was low health. It was 1 bullet, so it's easy done, but that could have been pivotal. But when you've got Shaiko on your team, there's always that opportunity that he might just step up, hit a 4K and clutch it out. And what a finish, Des. We're going to overtime.
Whew, right, let's breathe. Let's reset ourselves, because this is now basically the game starting over again. But the thing that makes me nervous, Ace, is it's BDS starting on defense. Nervous for Cavanaugh, less so for BDS in this case. And let's just take another look. Look at this golden shot onto Anarchic, who had no idea Shaiko was going to swing him. This is why they commit so many drones to the man, because now he swings in towards Attic. They still have no idea where he is. And imagine if Gorgona had hit that shot to the head and not to the chest. It took about half of Shaiko's HP. That could have been a different ending to that round, but that's how you shut it down. And we get 3 more rounds to decide what's going on.
This game is absolutely insane. We've had at least, and this is just for my counting, we've had at least 3 4Ks in this game. It's absolutely unbelievable. Gorgona, Kendrew, and Shaiko have all had 4Ks. There's been a number of 3Ks as well. It's just going absolutely wild. Just look at the kill figures across the leaderboard. 12 for BDS, 12 for Shaiko. Renshiro gets a double on the round. Gorgona and Sloth, but Grizzly able to shut him down. The aggression is just ramping up as if it could go any further. We are within the first 30 seconds and we got 3 deaths.
I mean, It's a very big difference. We've started a new game. Speaking about the, again, patience that we saw in the first 12 rounds, about 2 minutes of very little action, then suddenly, bam, lots of deaths come out of seemingly nowhere. Here, it's the reverse. It's kicked off early, and it's a bit of a round reset where Cavanaugh are already at a disadvantage, and this is going to make them sweat here. That pressure mounting on you, knowing that one more round after this goes the way of BDS and you are done. You've got to make some magic happen here in the final 2 minutes or so. Otherwise, it's going to be match point BDS.
Cavanaugh, they carry on regardless, getting the hatches open and just waiting and looking for their opportunities. The drones come out and it's gathering information at this point in time. They've still got time on their side. That is the one thing that they do have in abundance at the moment. 1 minute 30 and plenty of it to go at. They can just settle back in. They just need to let things calm down a little bit. They don't want to start rushing things here. There's already been 2 big kills early in the round. Losing Gorgona and Sloth is not going to be easy for them, but they've still got Grizzly and Kendrew particularly who've been taking shots, and Arkic's got the diffuser in hand, so they've got everything they need. They need to find the next kill. Lems is going to take some damage from a nade there. It's splash damage. It's not too much. Kendrew has got himself down to the bottom of Laundry Stairs. They haven't seen too much success from that position so far, but they do this time as he steps in and gets Lems. But no, the last thing they needed was Kendrew to get traded out there, and BDS, they keep their foot on the gas and they keep themselves at a man advantage.
It stayed as it has at the start of the round. It was the 4 versus 3. It's balanced out to the 3 versus 2, and the time is ticking down. There's been these pockets of action and then a little bit of inaction or prep ahead of it. They know, oh, he was in the back corner as well. That is such a powerful position, and Grizzly can't challenge onto it. Rafal gets the shutdown. It's Anarchic, the man who's the quietest fragger on the team for Cavanaugh, that's got to find 3 kills in 20 seconds, else we are going to match point for BDS, and something tells me that's exactly how it's going to shape up. Ace, he's looking for something, anything to try and snag onto here, but it's not going to happen. Gets swung on by Brede. BDS go to match point, and Cavanaugh at 6 and 4 we thought could take it. BDS are pulling out what they're known best for, and that is their perseverance.
I think if I'd have said at the beginning of this one, Des, that we'd get to round 13, and that would be the first time that BDS took the lead in this matchup, there are many who wouldn't have believed me. Cavanaugh have played a fantastic game of Siege so far, but the faces on the right-hand side of the screen, Des, they're worrying, they're concerning, because there seems to be a bit of exhaustion setting in. A bit of mental strain seems to be showing there to me. Things are quiet. Nobody's talking. There's not much going on there. And it is similar story on the side of BDS. This is a tough game, and these face cams just go to show the pressure that these players are working under. But BDS, Cavanaugh, they need to find something. They need to dig deep here. They need to find the fun. They need to pick up the energy so that they can get back in and power this one through to a win. This deserves to go all the way to 15. Nobody deserves to lose this one by 2 clear rounds. It's been too close for that.
I just can't believe that we've still got another day to go tomorrow, Ace. We're going to knacker ourselves out here with all the excitement on day number 1 if this keeps on going. So, good night's sleep. Back again for it tomorrow. That's the way it's going to have to go down. But still, there are 2 more rounds potentially to play. This one is far from over. Cavanaugh go on to the defense. And we've spoken already about BDS starting on defense. It has been very defender-leaning so far. Expecting it to go the same. One thing I have clocked straight away is the Lems being on that Nomad. They are so concerned with these potential later round flanks. And we've seen Sloth try and pull a few off. They just don't want to get hit where it hurts by those, I think. Or don't get someone like Grizzly coming up your backside on White Stairs late into the round. It's trying to keep Cavanaugh in check.
Here we go then. 10 seconds into what could be the decisive round here. BDS take the advantage for the first time. Cavanaugh, they've had their opportunities to close this one out before getting to overtime, and they were unable to do so. Now, will BDS's experience be able to come to the fore here and allow them to close this game out at the first opportunity, or do we go all the way to 15? Right now, Sloth's making a nuisance of himself. He's out on the roaming Jaeger, moving around quickly, using all 3 of those speeds that he's got to try and get himself into unpredictable positions, keep himself away from drones and get that early advantage. BDS took it last time and were able to lock the round down because of it. Now Gorgona, he's going to take almost half damage there, so Cavanaugh, they need to be careful here. They're aggressing up into the face of BDS, but BDS, they're ready for the fight, Des.
it's all about the waiting game here as well. Gorgona's holding in what we always call the Shaiko spot. Small difference and variation to what you may have seen at BDS is normally that's a Jaeger playing in that spot and you have the Wamai across to the left. Here it's kind of the inverse, where you've got the Ella holding a little bit closer, and it's Sloth who's kind of dancing around Highway and the pillar spot. So a little bit of a rotation, small change there. You've got Grizzly who's holding inside of Highway now by the looks of it. Actually, the BDS is still getting the prep work done. It's going to be one of those slower rounds. Overtime isn't going to be completely balmy, it's fair to say. For BDS, keep an eye on the drones as well and what info they have on their side. We saw how much Cavanaugh committed to BDS in previous rounds. I also want to comment as one final thing before I'll shut up and let you talk for a bit, Ace. Kendra is in this power spot. He got a 2K or a 3K from this spot before as the team tried to execute on him. Swung from Freezer, swung across the laundry, swung back to Highway and got a 3K from there. He's pulled off a miracle play from this spot and more teams should really start utilizing it.
Oh, it was a beautiful play. I know exactly the one that you're talking about, and it's something that BDS certainly need to be and I'm sure will be aware of. We just saw in the last round why that spot is so powerful. Grizzly, he moved around. He almost hit a perfect shot, Des, but Rafal was just locked in and ready for the challenge, and it's just so difficult. But look at that from Sloth. Rafal is the man who goes down. Shaiko finds an R-kick, and it's 4 versus 4 as this one kicks off in earnest. Grizzly and Gorgona, they come in with a double. Gorgona gets another one for himself, and right now it's 1 versus 3. Renshiro has got a lot of work to do. He moves down the rear stage stairs, finds another onto Sloth. 1 versus 2, and this is doable. We know that Renshiro is capable of this. He finds a third.
Oh,
he can't find Kendrew though. It's Kendrew from the power position, Des. It's not a 3K this time. It's just 1, and 1 is all he needs to take us to round 15.
If he pulled out that 4K there, Cavanaugh would be kicking themselves, because one little saying that I've really taken to enjoying over the last couple of weeks is that you can't have a clutch without a misplay from the other team. We've seen it from all the way back on play day 1, and thinking again back to Kayak's incredible play against Virtus Pro on consulates of winning the map. It comes down to a misplay from the other side. And I think if Cavanaugh had turned that into 2, 3, 4 separate gunfights in a 1v1, knowing you still had the massive numbers advantages, they would have been kicking themselves for days on that front. But no, we get all 15 rounds. It's BDS on the defense. They cannot play the basement as they have already won there. We go to the top floor. What is the spice that someone brings out in this round to make a difference? And there it is, Ace. It's the Ying coming from Gorgona.
Well, it could be make or break, Des. They need to do something different. They're going to be attacking onto dorms this time around, and this really hangs in the balance right now, and I'm excited. We are 7-7, and after 14 rounds, there is absolutely nothing to decide between the two teams. This has been an epic battle. There is no other way to describe it. It's been great to watch, great to cast, and I'm sure once the dust settles, I'm sure it will have been great to play in.
I need a nice lie down after this one, Ace, I think. And I'm pretty sure it's not my old age. It's just the amount of exertion that's gone into it so far. Let's keep a really tight eye on Gorgona, though, and what his play is going to be in this round. I would love to see Cavanaugh just come out hyper-aggressive here and catch BDS off guard. Because like we commented earlier on, the rounds have been very, very slow. It hasn't been about early aggression. Often you found BDS pulling back to site relatively early on and just saying, if you want to come at us, then come at us. It's absolutely not a problem. Lem's actually lurking out towards Big Tower at this point. I think hoping to catch a drone or two before backing away. But the sound of that window being opened up must surely scream, okay, boys, it's time to get back to site now. We do not want us getting caught out on a cut.
Gorgona moving in quickly down the showers corridor. We can see Zpings ahead of him. The drone's just going in and pushing that information back out. Now, Rafal, he's pretty locked into kitchen and security here. He will get picked up, and the drone manages to wriggle away to safety. So he's going to have to be careful now because his location is known. He's got to be ready for the challenge coming in, but he doesn't want to give up this spot underneath the site for the time being at least, because it will allow the soft breachers to go to work and to try and move people around inside. We've also got LMs there with a C4 in hand and the potential for that vertical denial. So this mid-floor battle is going to be extremely important. Cavanaugh need to make sure that they find Rafal and LMs and deal with them before they try to push too directly onto the site.
So it steps in then. We're at the point where it's down to that again, 75-second mark. No blood has been shed. Everyone's still standing on their own 2 feet. Rafał for a second maybe wincing away from that grenade, and here comes the first one. Rafał caught on the cut, and it's again Kendrew outside. We saw Characters get a kill from this exact spot onto a player rushing through the exact same hallway earlier on, and it looked like for a second we were going to see a bit of investigation from LMs, maybe wanting to trade for his fallen brother, but no, he gets himself back upstairs, and they say, look, we don't want to risk this going to a 5 versus 3. We'd rather take our chances in the 4 versus 5. 75 seconds remain, Ace, and for Cavanaugh, the advantage is in their favor.
That gives Cavanaugh the mid-floor control that they needed. So now it's time to start thinking about site and how to execute onto it. BDS cannot be reliant on a Shaiko 4K to keep them in this again. They have to prepare for this Cavanaugh push. They have to be ready to repel it. That is now the most important. Sloth, he's just underneath on the drones for the time being. We can see utility just being taken care of here. The Goyo Vulcan shield being detonated. That will be gone. So that now allows the potential entry to come in from the double floor window. It's likely to go here, Des. The Nitro comes out. In go the Yin Candelas. However, Shaiko steps up. Alems as well, but kills raining on both sides. 2 versus 2. Grizzly starts getting the diffuser down. It's all down to the cover. Can it be found? Yes, Grizzly. He finds Breede, but Shaiko finds Cavanaugh. It's 1 versus 1, Des. 19 seconds and Grizzly finds the kill. Cavanaugh, they've done it. They can go to bed tonight knowing that they turned over the top of the league, that they beat BDS, and that they are going from strength to strength.
Oh my God, Grizzly, I mean, Sloth's out of his chair in excitement as well, and for Grizzly to win a 1 versus 1 against one of the best rated players and through a Goyo shield no less as well. I'm 90% sure he was just popping the shield just to try and deny some zone control from Shaiko. Didn't realize he was on the other side of it. Is happy to connect the kill. That has been a stormer of a game. I'm looking at the kill scoreboard. There's like, I think 6 players on 10 plus kills, the highest being 15, the lowest being like 11. What an incredible game.